Hey, what's up, y'all? Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, all those fun things for all of y'all out there that celebrate it. Let me fix chat here. Hope everyone's having a good holiday. I thought I would spend a little bit of time today just hanging out with y'all. And, you know, what better way to spend the holidays with those you care about? And it seems to make sense to hang out with y'all since, let's face it, this show plays a huge part in my life. So I thought, why not spend some of it with y'all? So that's what I chose to do today. Cheers. Oolong, for those wondering. So trying something different. Thought I'd do away with the podcast mic today and not hide behind the microphone, because it is a bit of a, how would you put it? I guess a safety net, kind of, that I can kind of hide behind it a little bit. And so it was suggested to me to try and just wear one of the lapel mics, make it a little bit more, I don't know, personable. So that's what we're trying today. So welcome to everybody watching live as well as after the fact, and any of y'all out there lurking. So hello. Yeah, so let's hang out. What questions do you have? What did Santa Claus get me? Nothing. I've spent my holiday by myself here at HCHQ. When I am done with this, let's see, what am I going to do? I am going to make some homemade tortillas, and I'm going to warm up my leftovers. I made some tacos al pastor, so I'm going to warm some of that up. I made homemade refried beans, the whole 9 yards, so kind of a Mexican Christmas this year. Going to warm that up, have some tacos, and then I'm going to head down to Encore, play some poker, and possibly get a hotel room for the night, because for those that have asked, or that have listened to the pod, whatever, it doesn't matter. The worst thing about the apartment that I live in here is there's no bathtubs. I have a bad back, so it'd be awesome to be able to soak in a bathtub. So I think I'm going to try and do that as well. So that's the plans for Christmas tonight. So there we go. All right. A lot of new names out there. So hello, everybody. This cough from me having the plague a couple weeks ago is lingering, so I beg your forgiveness for that. Shipyard and Kanban, nice haul, Todd. All right. Kids had you up at 6:30 this morning, Brian. Already had one nap in. All right, glad to hear that you got a nap in. Always important. Naps are highly, highly underrated. Andrew asks, Throne Allegoria Kickstarter from Game Brewer. They picked it up, which that was announced, I think, before it even released from Spielworks, wasn't it? The Kickstarter's coming up. Thoughts? Bust? Happy holidays, big fan. Well, thanks, Andrew. Throne Allegoria was an enjoyable game. I don't feel like it was the end-all, be-all. I think it was fine. It was enjoyable. Yeah, it was fine. I'm sure that Game Brewer is going to do it up pretty fancy, probably like what they did with Gugong. That's what they seem to do with their Kickstarters. So if getting a deluxeified version of a fine game, then that would be perfect up your alley. So I hope that helps, Andrew. We did a playthrough of it. Shoot. When did we do it? I believe it was before Essen. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did a playthrough of it before Essen. So you can go back, watch that, and hopefully that helps you make a better informed decision. Oh, Eric played Big City with the fam. How was that? Hopefully that went over well. Getting through chat here. Kanban or Automania? Kanban's a great game. I really enjoy Kanban. I've never played Automania. So hopefully that helps. Geraint? Is that how you say that? Geraint or Geraint? Says, I've got some Christmas money to spend. Would you recommend Bus as my first splatter? Here is my answer is going to be a question for you. How many players would you be in your game group / would you be playing? And I will help you answer what should be your first splatter in that regards. Player count's going to matter for that one. So, Merry Christmas collectively to everybody. Happy holidays again. All right, last seer. This question is a good one. It's one that I get asked fairly regularly, which I enjoy because I like being able to put this info out there. Last seer says, hi, Edward. So hi, last seer. How long does it take you to prepare for a broadcast, both the day of and before? It all depends on how big of the game is that we're going to be streaming, right? Like this took me 30 minutes, okay? I didn't have to prepare a teach. I didn't have to do any of that. I just had to set up XSplit. I had to change some settings. I have to get everything ready for a solo broadcast as opposed to one for all of us. So it only requires me setting up that one camera as opposed to camera number 2 to camera number 3, camera number 4, and soon to be camera number 5. So there's that, and I just had to change like the scroll that you see down underneath and stuff like that. As well as the graphics and the video that plays at the beginning, the whole 9 yards. All that stuff is what I have to set up, which really, to me now at this point, is pretty second nature. So half an hour, right? And make tea, obviously. But for your typical live stream, right? Oh, shoot. See, this is why I struggle with top of my brain questions for games and everything, because I can't remember what the hell our last stream was. Key Market. There you go. We'll use Key Market as an example, okay? So how long does it take me to get ready for Key Market? Well, normally I will prepare my teaching script for it. That can take anywhere between 3 and 15 hours, depending on the length of the game. That was a shorter one because Key Market's not a super involved game. So call it 3-4 hours to prepare the teach, right? Not counting playing it ahead of time and the whole 9 yards. Then I have to make the intro video. James has to make the graphics. I have to put all that together in XSplit. I have to make the landing page or the hold page, which is where you're watching this on YouTube right now, and do all that. So I would say on average, I'd probably say 6 hours getting ready for your typical live stream, and then live streaming 2 to 6 hours, depending on how long the game is there. Yeah. Now, when we get the new camera, when we use the camera, that's going to add a not insignificant amount of time once I learn how to use the camera and everything, because the PTZ camera I'm going to have to pre-program for setup for like snap to kind of things for the different areas on the board. So that's going to involve more setup time, but it's totally worth it, I think. I hope it'll be here hopefully in the next week. So yeah, so there you go. So I would say an average of maybe 6 hours, but I've taken as long as 18, 19 hours to prepare for a live stream, depending on the bigger ones, like BIOS Origins, Feudum, all those took significantly longer than the 6 hours, not including the playing the game and learning it and all of that, just because to make sure that they're involved teachers, stuff like that. So hopefully that answers your question. Junaid, happy holidays, you as well. New teaching notes coming soon. Yes, after the new year. All right, Navaneeth, what are some of your hobbies outside of board gaming, which at this point may or may not be a hobby given it's your career? It's my career, right? So I don't consider board games a hobby. I still enjoy it. Don't get me wrong. I very much enjoy playing games still, but I don't consider it a hobby. So let's see, what are my hobbies? Poker, obviously. That is a big one. I actually, because I don't have my microphone in front of me, I have a stack of chips to quietly riffle to keep myself occupied so I'm not fidgeting too much. So poker is the biggest one. I would say cooking would be another one of my favorite hobbies. Trying to think, what else would you consider a hobby of mine? I enjoy, in theory, playing video games, but I really don't play them much, if at all, anymore, just because the other hobbies take up all of my free time. I enjoy going to restaurants, trying new food, exploring the world of tea. Yeah, I guess those are really my only two hobbies. Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, I enjoy reading, even if I don't do it much. I enjoy listening to podcasts, which I really only ever listen to podcasts when I'm driving. The latest podcast that I've been listening to is one called Mother Hacker. It's kind of a modern day drama, I guess. It's like a lot of movies nowadays. I feel like things are just like the storytelling isn't as good as it used to be back in the day. Like if you ever listen to old school radio stories, right? Like old, like back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, like The Flash and stuff like that, whatever. I feel like some of the storytelling, like the quality of the audio is impressive and the quality of the background stuff, like noise and sounds and everything, is better. But I feel like they're just a little too rushed. Like, and Mother Hacker it also falls prey to that a bit, to where it's a bit over the top and a bit too much. But I've enjoyed it nonetheless, so I think I could recommend that. Podcasts, video games, what else? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Call it that. I think that'd be a good synopsis of me. Oh, and here, there are two other things that, New Year's resolutions. I don't believe in New Year's resolutions because, but I will say that a friend of mine recently has turned me on to an idea that to have a word to describe the year that you try and succeed at for the year. So the last couple of years have been pretty chaotic, and I've decided on my word for 2020 is going to be serenity. So that's what I'm seeking in 2020, in general. I think that'd be good. There are two other things that are going to start up in 2020. I've decided, well, three things, actually. One of which is going to be kind of miserable because it's not something I enjoy doing, and the one I do and one I don't know. The miserable part is going to the gym. I have decided that I've never liked going and working out at the gym. It's just not something that's ever really appealed to me. But I decided, you know what? I think that would be a really healthy outlet for me to be able to just get rid of extra angst and energy and stress, and all of that would be going to the gym. So I'm going to be doing that. I hate doing it at the beginning of the year because everybody, oh, I'm going to start going to the gym, you know, that whole deal. It just so happens that a lot of changes have come in my life in the last few weeks, and so the timing of it just coincides with that. The thing I'm most curious about that I've decided to at least experiment with is I think I'm going to start going to yoga. Some folks have told me that the guys that they know that go to yoga, who had aches and pains of just getting older and everything, no longer have it. The stretching every day has been a godsend to them. So I'm gonna try that. And the fun thing that I'm going to start doing, so I guess you could call it a hobby, is I'm going to get back into playing basketball. There is a league that Peter, my local postman, not the guy who delivers the mail, but who works at the post office. Peter is a big, he's a guy I met before I even moved up here, actually. And they have organized, you know, old man's league, if you will. They have like some 20-something, some 30-something, some 40, 50s in these leagues, and going to start playing some pickup basketball and then eventually join in the summer league. I think that'll be good. That'll be fun. So there you go. So hobbies and interests. I enjoy sports, the whole 9 yards. So yeah, let's do that. I feel like maybe with the yoga and working out, I might be able to get my body and my shoulders back in shape to where maybe down the road I consider getting back into a baseball league, not a softball league, but a men's baseball league. I've ruined both of my shoulders, pitching and hitting, actually. And so I think if I am able to stick with the gym and build up the strength in my core as well as my shoulders, I think I might get back into playing baseball. Now, do I make time for all this? We'll see how it goes, but there you go. Collecting banknotes, Nevany says, and coins from around the world. Okay, there's another thing that I don't know if I really call it a hobby, but it's something that I'm into, is every time I go to a new casino to play poker, I pick up a $1 chip. So I have pretty extensive collection of that now. So that's pretty cool. So I can appreciate that. What's your favorite banknote and coin, Nevaneeth? I'm curious. What's that, Andrew? Upset about the limited 1,000? Oh, BGG's upset about Spielworks being limited to 1,000 print run. That's how Spielworks has always worked. Going back to Throne of Allegoria, I assume. Deal with it. It's the mod. Actually, when Uli came to HCHQ when I lived in Denver and he sat for the interview, he actually explained why he limits it to 1,000 print runs. So maybe folks should listen to the interview because I think it's really, really insightful. Michael says, picked up Crystal Palace and On Mars just before Christmas. First plays of both, very enjoyable. Nice. We played Crystal Palace on Sunday for game day. 5-player. That was brutal. That was fun. I really enjoy On Mars as well. Any top 10 videos coming soon, Harry asks. I've never done a top 10 video in my life. I've done top 6. But are there any top 6 videos coming out? I could be persuaded. What kind of top 6 would you be interested in, Harry? Speaking of top lists, good segue, by the way. The top 50 of all time of right now is going to release later on tonight, provided I can get James to release it. That's not on James, that's on me. But the episode is ready. As soon as I'm done with this, I will be sending it to James, and he will be uploading it for all of y'all. So it'll be available, well, tonight, but my thought process was to have it available for y'all tomorrow. This way, for those of y'all traveling home from the holidays, visiting friends and family and whatever, you'd have something to listen to. It features my top 50, Jess's top 50, and Martin's top 20-ish. So that should be, it's probably a pretty long episode. I would hopefully you guys enjoyed. I'd love your feedback on it. So check that out over on heavycardboard.com, as well as any of your podcast apps that you may use. No, not Spotify yet. Adam says, Merry Christmas, Edward. I can't put sound on to listen to the Ask the Elephant since I'm busy at work right now, but I will listen later. If I knew ASL, I would sign Merry Christmas, Adam. But I can't, so I will just try and really form my the lips so you can read it. Merry Christmas, Adam. There you go. All right, cool. Cole asks, will you be doing an Oath teach and playthrough? I hope to. Cole's reached out. I'm going to be getting back to him here very soon, and hope to. Junaid, looking forward to HeavyCon. Any updates on invites? Anything changing for next year's con? If all goes well, before we come back live in the new year, the first wave of invites should be out. As far as anything changing for next year's HeavyCon, the coffee little place, Starbucks thing, will be open more hours. That's the main change. Brianna asks, does it make you sad that for streams your meeples always have to be lying down? We appreciate it for watching online, but it would make me sad if my workers were always sleeping on the job. It's funny you mentioned that. When we're not streaming games, you can tell who is used to streaming and who is not used to being on streams nowadays. Those of us that are used to being on stream, we always lay our workers down. Even when we're not streaming, whether we're playing here in the studio, downstairs, whatever, just because it's out of habit. So for me, no, it's just second nature now. But yeah, it doesn't give as much height to the games because they're laying down. But no, it doesn't make me sad. Brendan says, Heavy Cardboard has been one of the best things on my whole year. I normally have to miss it live, but have watched hundreds of hours. Thank you and Merry Christmas, Edward. Well, thank you, Brendan. I really, really appreciate that. I'm glad to hear that both me and Heavy Cardboard have helped bring you hundreds of hours of enjoyment. Well, hopefully enjoyment, seeing as you're spending that much time watching it. I certainly appreciate it, very much so, and I'm glad to hear that you're enjoying it as much. 2020 should be just as much, if not more. So. I have tentatively made a con travel schedule for myself for next year. I figure I might as well. Everything is subject to change. Okay? So don't quote me on this. But here is the preliminary travel schedule for this year. At some point, I'm going to Mexico. For me. I'm taking a weekend. I'm going to Mexico to eat tacos. That's it. When that's happening, I don't know. But when I was watching Taco Chronicles on Netflix, I looked up flights while watching. Tacos, I think, are the greatest food on the planet. And I saw flights as cheap round trip from Boston to Mexico City for $300. So at some point, one weekend, I'm taking off and going to Mexico to go eat tacos like 12 times throughout the weekend. That's not a con schedule, but it is travel, so that's coming. I plan on going out to Vegas during the World Series of Poker for some number of days. Those are my two personal trips that I have scheduled for this year. Not scheduled, but that are going to be happening. Convention travel, here is what is preliminarily on the schedule. LyriaCon in March is going to be happening. I'm traveling there to Liria, Portugal again this year. Gamma Trade Show in Reno, Nevada in late March. So March has 2 trips in it. HeavyCon, obviously, but obviously HeavyCon is local and it's my convention, so there's that. Probably Origins. Gen Con is coming here, meaning I'm going to be doing streaming through Gen Con again this year, so I don't foresee myself ever traveling to Gen Con again if I can help it, and so I'll be here for Gen Con. Probably Origins. Essen is a definite. And maybe one of BGGCon / PAX Unplugged. I will probably go to PAX East for one day. That's local here in Boston. I will probably do a one-day trip to PAX East. And that's it. There might be one other thing out there that I choose to go to or get invited to or fill in the right word. But outside of that, that is the travel schedule for this year, tentatively. So we'll see. So not a ton of schedule, which just means I'm going to be working on the show. So there you go. Okay. All right. Andrew, I hope that helped. Felix, Merry Christmas to you as well. Siraj asks, I have some questions to those who have played Age of Steam France map. Track building costs sound a bit confusing. I assume normal track lay is as usual. I am not familiar off the top of my head with the France map, so I can't help you on that. But I guarantee if you ask on BGG, someone will be able to ask you or answer for you, or in Slack, for that matter, for as many rabid Age of Steam fans as there are in the Slack channel. Possibly in the guild as well. You could ask it there. Joe said, first game at 1830 was a blast. Good. Glad to hear. Be careful. It's a slippery slope going into 18XX. Felix, maybe play TI4 on the stream. Well, now that we're going to have the PTZ camera, that certainly becomes a lot more possible. I still need to have a copy of TI4, but that is something that could happen. Eric, doubling back to the big city thing, says really hard to plan in big city with 5, so he thinks he prefers it at 3 or 4. I could see that. That makes sense. Brendan, will you be playing the new Kanban on Heavy Cardboard? If we get a copy of the new Kanban, then we will probably stream it at some point. Yes. I do not have a copy of it, but that could probably be easy enough to arrange. Michael, food chain has to be the first splatter, right? No, not necessarily. Rococo Deluxe Edition from Eagle Griffin was announced today for those that didn't hear yet. I did not, so that's awesome. Yay, the quintessential medium weight Euro. Also, the name of a friend's dog. So that's cool. All right, so Geraint answered, so players would likely be 2 to 4 players most often for heavy games. All right, so 2 to 4 players, what should be your first splatter? Well, let's look at the big ones, right? There is Bus. Doesn't play 2 players, not what I would recommend 2 to 4 players. Antiquity. Probably best at 2 or 3 players, but also does play 2, 3, or 4 just fine. So Antiquity would certainly be, if you enjoy Civilization games, would be a highly strong recommendation for a first splatter. Indonesia doesn't play 2, so not Indonesia. Food Chain Magnate plays great 2, 3, and 4 players, so that definitely would be a recommendation there. Roads and Boats plays well at 2, 3, and 4, and recently had the 20th anniversary edition. That would be recommended well. But, and I don't know availability, I'll be honest, but if you put a gun to my head and you ask for what is my strongest recommendation for a 2 to 4 player count for your first splatter, I would say the Great Zimbabwe. Probably would be my recommendation. Plays in about 90 minutes. Really nice production quality. Plays great at 2, 3, and 4. Seems like a no-brainer, but honestly, I would think that, Roads and Boats, Food Chain Magnate, or Antiquity would all be solid choices. So there you go. Hopefully that helps answer your questions, right? David, Merry Christmas, Edward. May your days be merry and bright. Let's hope. Huh? Let's hope. Harry asks, would you choose Barrage or Crystal Palace? Ooh. I really enjoyed both those games. They're both very different, though, aren't they? One's a dice drafting. Again, would probably come down to player count on that. I would say you could probably not go wrong with either one of those. I think they're both excellent games. But at 3 or 4 players, maybe a slight lean to Crystal Palace. And obviously with 5, because Barrage only plays 4, I think. So, yeah. I'd say slight lean to Crystal Palace, but I wouldn't be upset if I chose Barrage. Got the new complete edition of Murano by Inca and Marcus Brand, which are really nice people, by the way. Hopefully we'll see them at LyriaCon. Matt said, a highly underrated game from a few years back. I don't have a copy of Murano. I've never played it. So good to hear, though, Matt. All right. Dom Fluff asks, how are you getting on with World in Flames? Haven't opened the box since the live stream. That's going to be a late 2020 stream, just so you know. My goal, though, is to have it stream before Spiel. So, there you go. Merry Christmas, Eric. Oop. Whew. It's going to be a long Ask the Elephant with the way I'm... Well, when is it not, right? Let's be honest. Felix already answered about HeavyCon. Hopefully in the next week or so. Oh, Matt also got one of the U-Gear, I assume, model kits. Nice. All right. Submarine with an embedded music box. Hopefully it plays Yellow Submarine. That'd be funny. That would be funny. Dom Fluff. Oh, I spot PAX Transhumanity. That stream must be close. Uh-huh. David played Alubari at PAX Unplugged. Really enjoyed it. I can imagine you would have enjoyed it. It's a good game. Hey, Rolf. Designer of the upcoming, or co-designer of the upcoming Coffee Traders and Wildcatters. So what's up, Rolf? Hopefully everybody in your neck of the woods is having a great holiday. Matt asks, first block war game when you get the setup figured out, talking about the PTZ camera. I think I have it figured out, the setup. I just need the camera to arrive and then actually set it up. And we're going to have different mounts up here for the different live streams, depending on what they are. So he asks, what's the first block war game? Sekigahara, Hammer of the Scots, or other? Those were the 2 finalists. So there you go. You're on the right track. And I've decided the Sekigahara will be the first live stream, first block war game live stream with the PTZ camera. So there you go. Not going to let the cat out of the bag as far as what will be the first PTZ live stream. Eric, wouldn't be an ass if I didn't ask about the Polo and HeavyCon shirts. Well, good news. All the HeavyCon shirts are packed up and ready to go downstairs for next week. All of the polos will be packed up and will be going out next week as well. In fact, every single order that is outstanding with Heavy Cardboard will go out next week, unless we're out of stock of something. Then I have the unfortunate job of emailing some people that have been extraordinarily patient and probably refunding them their money and still sending them a shirt, even if it's not the color they want, because it's the right thing to do. So there you go. Hopefully that answers that question, Eric. So look for that the first week in January, probably. Joe, any idea when the next 18XX play is scheduled? Yes. I do have an idea when that's scheduled. Harry asks, how cutthroat is Crystal Palace? I know that both are cutthroat, but I want to pick one that is not extremely cutthroat. It doesn't have to be played that way, Harry. It can be, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. So I would say that both are interactive Euros. So whenever there's interaction, there can be negative interaction in a lot of places. But it doesn't necessarily have to be played that way. It all depends on the players. Okay? So don't let that dissuade you from Crystal Palace. Michael says, my hobby list is way too long. Golf, I enjoy that. Hiking, I enjoy that. Board games, it's my career. Guns, I enjoy going out shooting. I'm a Marine rifle expert. I shot nothing but expert the whole time I was in, the 9 years I was in, so I enjoy shooting rifles for sure. I enjoy handguns too, but mostly rifles. So hockey, watching, yes, but not playing for me. Maybe scuba soon. Nice. As I'm going to be on my second dive soon and want to get certified. That's awesome. Nice. Yeah, I trust me. Hiking, that's actually in golf. Golf is the one thing that I have ever tried and legitimately made effort to do and wasn't good at. Golf, I have a wicked slice. I come over the top. I know I do. I'm aware of it, and I still do it, and it's frustrating. But man, when you hit a pure shot in golf, there are few things that feel that good. There's something awesome to be said for that. I enjoy all those things except for scuba. So I hear you, Michael. Thomas, what do you think will be the first game with the new PTZ camera? I'm going to leave that up to the patrons to decide because, well, if it weren't for the 801 patrons, the PTZ camera wouldn't have gotten ordered. So, seems appropriate to let them decide it, right? Now, I should also point out that not every stream is going to use the PTZ camera. I'm not going to, like, shoehorn it in. It's going to be used for games that need zooming in on specific parts of the board that the regular cameras can't do. So when they make sense, I'll do it. But for the first one, I will let the patrons decide what's going to be it. Could be Sekigahara, for that matter. Last year, no board gaming podcast? No, I subscribe to a number of them. I just don't listen to a lot of them because I just don't have the time. And when I listen to podcasts, it tends to be stuff like Hardcore History or Mike Duncan's Revolutions. I listen to a lot of poker podcasts. I listen to dramas. When the mood hits, stuff like Welcome to Night Vale, which is, non sequitur, stuff like that. Yeah, I tend to not listen to a lot of board game podcasts, though, just because I just don't have the time, and that's kind of work. Really, you know what I mean? So, Last year says, I won't mention my favorite audio podcast by name as you might consider it a competitor. I have no problem with that. I have zero qualms. I think there are some excellent both YouTube channels out there as well as podcasts that do board games out there. I think there's a lot of excellent ones. Tolkien is master asks, any hope to see Hannibal, Rome versus Carthage, Sekigahara, Conflict of Heroes, or Who Goes There? I don't know Who Goes There. The other three, yes. The Who Goes There part, I don't know. And I suppose I should not be mean to Joe. He said, any idea when the next 18XX play is scheduled? And I answered yes, because I do know. It's probably going to be the first week that we come back. The first week that we come back, to let everybody know, is probably going to be the week of January 6th, sometime that week. Because the PTZ camera was scheduled to be delivered this week. It's now going to be delivered sometime next week, unfortunately. So I need time to set that up in the whole 9 yards. So probably the week of January 6th to the 12th is when the first 18XX stream will happen, when the first Wargame stream of 2020 will happen, and hopefully PAX Transhumanity will be that week as well. So it's going to be a pretty busy week. Thank you, David. Says, I hope you find that serenity. Edward, me too. Thank you, David. Hey, Martin. Cheers, Martin. New patron. Awesome. Thank you very much. Be like Martin, y'all. Go to pledgehc.com. Support the show there. And just FYI, if that number does happen on December 31st to drop below 800, no, it doesn't mean we lose the PTZ camera. It just means I don't make as much money. So, and we lose supporters. So unfortunately, that might happen. Hopefully not. So support the show. Go to, don't forget to like and subscribe down below as well if you guys enjoy the content that I create here at Heavy Cardboard. I say I because Heavy Cardboard's my baby, but that said, that we create, because I cannot do this without the local game group and the support of all y'all. So thank you, y'all. Thank you. Whether you're a patron or whether you just tune in and watch the show or listen to the podcast or whatever it is, I am very, very grateful for all the support. So thank you. I have gotten a number of well wishes, and I've gotten some very personal stories from folks who have listened to the interview I sat for with Ben Maddox over on 5 Games for Doomsday. And I wanted to address a couple of the things on there, and now seems like as good a time as any. So for those that haven't heard, if you Google 5 Games for Doomsday, you can go to the website, which I believe is the number 5. Google 5 Games for Doomsday, or listen to it on your favorite podcast app. And Ben Maddox, I sat down last month. At the end of November, I think. No, it was early in December. Sorry. Yeah, early in December, I sat down with him and had about a 100-minute interview with him that talked about a lot of personal things going on, or about me. Let's just leave it at that, and you guys can go listen to it. And talked about a lot of personal stuff on there, everything to what went wrong with my ex-wife to my childhood and everything else. And got a lot of things off my chest, but also talked about just the things that I deal with mental health-wise and everything else. And I've had a lot of people share their stories with me since, or not a lot, but a handful, as well as that have sent me some really kind messages. So thank you to everybody that has sent their words of encouragement and whatnot, as well as sharing a lot of personal stuff with me. I really, really appreciate that you guys, that it touched enough of you, or that it has helped some of you, especially given the time of year that it is, for those of us that are, celebrating the holiday by ourselves or whatever. It's there for you if that helps in some way. And I have a platform, so I choose to use it to be able to talk about things that a lot of people don't talk about or that won't talk about, and to try and remove some of the stigma about how dealing with stuff mental health wise shouldn't be stigmatized and everything. I had somebody ask me, or not really ask, but they made the comment that I hope that I didn't feel pressured or obligated to talk about some of the things that I talked about. Not at all. I chose to talk about my past, be it from 2 years ago or from my childhood, because it was for me, is why I wanted to do that. A couple of reasons. Some altruistic, some not. So the altruistic, and this is about as genuine as I can be, is kind of like what I just said, especially when Ben said he was going to release this on December 23rd for the Christmas time episode. Not exactly Christmassy, but you get the idea. Being able to talk about depression and mental health struggles and all of those things, I think is important, especially this time of year. And so being able to help, maybe in some small way, helps people know they're not alone dealing with this stuff, that maybe that helps one or two people out there. And if so, then hey, that's awesome. And I'm happy to do that. I'm not ashamed of my past. I'm not ashamed of the things that that have happened to me or that I've done. They've made me who I am today, and I'm pretty happy with who I am today. Am I perfect? No. But a lot of the things that happened to me weren't my fault, and they weren't done to me. So why should I be ashamed of that, right? So that would be the altruistic side of things. The less than altruistic, the somewhat selfish reasons. There are some really not nice people out there on the internet, and there are a lot of people out there that have made a lot of assumptions, or a lot of things, have said a lot of things about me that either due to my split with Amanda or due to just them just being crappy to me. I thought I would get some stuff off my chest and basically tell them, maybe you don't know the whole story. And so maybe hearing all of that maybe might make things seem a lot more real, and realize that I'm a person and I'm not an entity. I am not Heavy Cardboard. I run Heavy Cardboard. I created Heavy Cardboard, but I am not Heavy Cardboard. So maybe that makes people take a step back, and before they throw stones, maybe they think about things a little bit more. So there's that. And also to talk about the things that I struggle with on a daily basis, which could aptly be determined to be depression, I guess, in some form or fashion. And when I struggle with some of the stuff that I struggle with, when hopefully it helps people understand, to understand for no other reason, not to justify, not to give excuses, not to do anything like that, just to be able to pull back the curtain a little bit on why X, Y, and Z was done or wasn't done or whatever. Again, it's not to make excuses for anything. I have a business to run. I have a job to do. I have a responsibility to do my job. But hopefully that helps. So there you go. That answers that, I hope. So no, it was out of no obligation to anybody. I don't feel obligated. I have a responsibility to run the show to the people that support this show. Outside of that, I don't have an obligation to tell anybody shit about me or my personal life. It's stuff that I choose to do. So there's that. So no, I don't feel obligation for that. It's just things that I chose to do. Okay? So and understand that the person that asked that, I don't think meant in any kind of negative way. I just wanted to convey that to everybody, and just, there you go. On that note, David says, the moment you realize that you deserve joy and serenity and work towards it is a big moment. You got it, David. You betcha. I know I deserve it. I know I need it. I know I need to find it. So, yeah, that's helped, for sure. Why am I missing the Celtics game? I really couldn't care less about the NBA. I just can't get into it. I enjoy college basketball, just can't get into the NBA. Plus, I'm not a Celtics fan. If anything, I would be a Trailblazer fan. If you don't want to feel old, join an over 40 league. Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. But you know what? I will say that Peter, really good dude. And just, yeah, I'm going to join the league he's in and have some fun with it for the basketball league. Swimming, Junaid says. Good help with the back. I figure that in yoga. Good call. Harry asks, out of curiosity, Edward, do you watch other board game reviewers? Rahdo, Antlab, Dice Tower, etc.? On rare occasion, I do. If I try to avoid reviews of games that I haven't reviewed myself, because I don't want to be influenced by them. But off the top of my head, and I'm going to forget some, which this is always a bad idea. But so in no particular order, no pun included, Shut Up and Sit Down, Ant Labs, Rahdo, John Gets Games, Punchboard Paradise. Well, some of these I listen to understand. Or I'll watch like a playthrough of. Like I know that Grogan over at Gaming Rules has started doing similar to what I do. John from John Gets Games does multiplayer solo playthrough. Slicker Drips, Ricky Royal. So on occasion, I'll stop by and watch some of their stuff, but I try not to watch a whole lot of reviews. Honestly, the only real reviews that I watch, I think, are Efka and Elaine over at No Pun Included and maybe a couple others. Just because I don't want to be influenced by a lot of that stuff. And a lot of Shut Up and Sit Down stuff, they don't cover a lot of the games that we do, so there's not a lot of crossover. The fellas over there, they're just funny. All of those they're funny folk. So there you go. So yeah, I tune in on specific things at random times. So hopefully that answers your question, Harry. And I imagine most of them would probably say the same. And hopefully they may watch Heavy Cardboard from time to time. Tony. Hi, Tony. I did check into flights. Tony and his significant other, Helen, invited me out to Edinburgh for Christmas. Since I was going to be by myself here on Christmas, I did check into flights last week. Those were prohibitively expensive, or else I may have been not doing this today and might have been in Scotland. So thank you for the invite, Tony. I really appreciate it. I also checked into flights for Omaha, Nebraska, and Las Vegas. And all of those were expensive. Traveling this time of year apparently is expensive. February, far less so, though. Just dropping in after dinner for 5 to say hello, everyone. And, of course, send best wishes to Mr. Euler. Well, thank you, Mr. Makos. A very happy holiday to you and yours up in Scotland as well. Thanks for all the help, man. Hello, Edward. Hello, Fred. Can you please give advice the block war game for beginners? Sure. What a block war game is a war game with blocks. I'm not being pedantic. It's literal. They have a fog of war for a lot of block war games to where the information is on your side and is only available when you enter a battle or combat and you reveal it to your enemy. So there might be bluffs. There's ways to feint and bluff in block war games. They tend to be. The Blocks in the East, Blocks in the West series are far more involved than, as well as stuff like Triumph and Tragedy. Those are far more involved block war games. But games like Sekigahara from GMT and the Columbia Games war game series that has like Richard III, Hammer of the Scots. I'm trying to think what the other obvious ones are, and I'm drawing a blank. Those have 8 pages of rules. Very low rules overhead, and those would be my jumping off place that I would recommend, either Sekigahara or Hammer of the Scots or any in that series. I think those are wonderful entry points, and they tend to be 2-player war games, although some can be multiplayer, like Triumph and Tragedy is 3-player. I think you can play with less, but that's weird at that point. Whew, almost. Dropped my keyboard. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, they tend to be 2-player only, but not always. All right? Top 6 18xx games. Well, Joe, I guess you're going to have to listen to the top 50 of all time, because I just recorded that. It's going to release tonight. You'll be able to hear my top some number of 18xx games in there. Michael, top 6 games with miniatures. Not something that I could come up with on the fly. Although that might be, oh, wait. You guys are asking for top 6 lists. A little slow on the uptake. My bad. Noted. why I have a pen and paper. I will make note of these. So top 6s. Let's see. Games with plastic dolls, i.e. minis. 18xx games. Ooh. Top 6 games published pre-2020. Or 2010. Because that wouldn't be a really long list, or that would just be my top 6 games if it were top pre-2020. Pre-2010. Good one. I like that. All right. Hey, Alexander. And ETS. Tony, top 6 absolutely brutal Glory to Rome games. I'll write down exactly what he called those, though. My top 6 would not include diplomacy. Hey, Justin. Closed captioning works. Okay. Good. Good to hear. I'm glad. All right. In Kanban, does the worker stand up when finished with their day? For a stream? Yes, that's exactly it. They lay down normally and then would stand up for the stream so that you, yeah, totally. WBC, probably not in the cards this year, Joe. Might could happen in 2021. I could go back to it. I went to it 2 years ago, I think it was. Enjoyed my experience, but yeah, not this year. I know that, not in 2020. David says he's bringing Irish Gauge to my Christmas gathering. I know the rules overhead's pretty simple. Is it something more casual gamers might enjoy? Certainly could. As long as they enjoy the theme or the geography. So that is your job then, David, to make it enticing to folks. But at the same time, they're not into it, don't force it, because that can have a negative influence on whether or not they enjoy board games in general. That's the biggest key. So some people say that, oh, X game is a gateway game, or X game can't be a gateway game. I would argue that just about any game can be a gateway game. It just depends on the level of decisions they want to make in a given game and the theme and the whole 9 yards. Production quality, all of that stuff can matter. So choose. You as the hobbyist have a responsibility when you introduce new gamers to games to match up the gamer with the game. Kind of like with Age of Steam and number of players, which map. I think that is the biggest, most important thing. I hate the idea of, oh, this is a gateway game or this isn't. I say BS to that, because any game can be, as long as, because I've started with people with Le Havre. I think it's an excellent gateway game if it interests people. So, to each their own. Corey asks, what are the chances we can see a Glory to Rome stream of Brides and Bribes in the future? I'll tell you what, if we can get Kleiker out here to HCHQ, we can make that happen. Because I will not do that again without Kleiker, because that was just a special experience. That was one of my all-time favorite gaming experiences. That's why, there she is, right there. That's why Rita stays on the Glory to Rome board. Yeah, that could happen. So if we can get Matt out here, then that could certainly happen. Unachimba 9. Happy 18xxmas, Edward. I really enjoyed the 5 games for Doomsday interview. Buena suerte in Mexico. There are plenty of food blogs on the best places to eat in Mexico City. You will do well. Somebody, and I forget who it was, somebody has reached out to me and said that either a patron or just a fan of the show. I used to shy away from that term, fan of the show, because if you spend the amount of hours that you guys spend watching this, I imagine that just makes you a fan of the show. You enjoy the content we create. I don't think that's some kind of derogatory term. Anyway, I'm not sure if they were a patron or just a fan of the show, but they have invited me down to stay with them in Mexico City when I come. That's going to happen sometime in 2020. So yeah. Yeah. But thank you. I definitely watching Food Chronicle or Taco Chronicles on Netflix is just that is such a good show. It's told from the point of view of the tacos. Excellent show. Excellent series. Even if you just eaten, makes me hungry. What's a good first game in the PAX and the BIOS series? BIOS Origins, I think the overhead on that was surprisingly low. The rulebook and the Rosetta Stone, or the list of actions that are available, are hella intimidating. Same with the board. I would recommend watching the playthrough and the teach for BIOS Origins and doing that. That, in my opinion, is the perfect jumping off spot for that series. For the PAX series, you can't beat PAX Premier 2nd Edition. Simply the best jumping off point of the PAX series, period, bar none, amen. Done. I hesitate to normally say definitive things like that, but yeah, those two are clearly the easiest two and the best two jumping off spots. And they also happen to both be amazing games. Hey, Adam. Adam is our resident time stamper. Thank you for all that you do, Adam. I very much appreciate all the work that you put in for everything. Thank you for all your help this year and for the upcoming year. Hi, Edward, fellow elephants. Wish you all the best. Any 18XX Sierra Madre games coming in the near future? That'd be the first one. 18XX. Leaning towards 18 Mexico. 18 Mex being the first 18XX streamed in 2020. So that could be very, very early in January, provided availability of the Train Gamers local. Christopher just played Pipeline, now teaching Barrage. Nice, enjoy. Dan asks, would War of the Ring work well as a stream with the PTZ camera? Uh-huh. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to what that opens up availability-wise. You guys haven't asked today, but I know there are some of y'all out there wondering what the hell is a PTZ camera, so I figure I might as well talk about it a little bit. So, PTZ camera is a pan-tilt zoom camera, and you know what? Hold on one second. No, I'm not, because I haven't shared that with the patrons yet, so I won't do that. I was going to show you the make and model and the whole 9 yards, but I want to share that with the patrons this week, so I will do that with them first. But what the PTZ camera does, pan-tilt zoom, and so normally, if I were to zoom in with this camera, it would zoom in about right here. It would zoom into this point right there, and it would close off everything and just, there we go. We would zoom in to this point over here. What a pan-tilt zoom does is it allows me the opportunity to zoom in on this area, or this area, or this area. And for the larger footprint games, as well as with block war games, I will be able to now do a much better job of presenting these games to you guys. And it's something that nobody else out there is doing, and probably due to cost. The camera that I got ended up coming out to about, I don't know, $2,500, $2,800, somewhere in that neighborhood, and will arrive in the next week to 10 days, and I'm really looking forward to that. So it's going to allow us to just make for a better presentation. So got to always keep improving and keep pushing the envelope, and without these folks here supporting me, I wouldn't be able to do that. So a big thank you to all the patrons. Because of y'all, we're able to do that. So there you go. Dragon says, I'm a bit cult of the old and have quite recently acquired Shipyard and Kraftwagen. Hope to get them played before the end of the year. Excellent. Shipyard is so good. Kraftwagen is fine. I'm not as big a fan of that one. I believe that was Matthias Kramer, I think. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, I thought it was just okay. I liked the theme of the game, but the game was just, it left me feeling a bit fine. But Shipyard is phenomenal. I love Shipyard. PTZ camera would help with the expansions for Tricarion. Uh-huh. It's almost like we've thought of these things. Hi, Jesse. He says, hey, want to let you know, because of the show, I own Lisboa, Brass, and Arkwright. This past year was the first year of being in the hobby. Welcome, Jesse. That's a hell of a list of games right there, man. Nice. I'm glad to hear that we have helped. See, I get blamed a lot for, oh, you made me buy this game. Oh, you made me buy another game. Here's the way I see it, Jesse. I didn't, and you didn't infer this. I understand. But in general, people blame me for them buying games. See, I think they think about it backwards. I think you should thank me for steering you away from games that you might not enjoy and helping you vet games that you will enjoy. So, think of Heavy Cardboard as an excellent matchmaker for you, your game group, and the games that you guys want to play. Just trying to do that. Help me, help you, help me, help you. Help me, help you. You get the idea. So, there you go. Oh, excellent. Harry says, I also got 2 U-Gear models. One small for my niche. Super hype for building it. Excellent, man. I'm glad to hear it. Hopefully you guys mentioned Heavy Cardboard when you ordered the U-Gears models. That goes a long way to help. Hi, Dominic. Says, hi, Merry Christmas, y'all. I love that y'all has become a thing for people around the world now. Not gonna lie, I think that's pretty cool. What's the real difference, Alubari and Snowdonia? Alubari is an evolution of Snowdonia. I think it's Snowdonia 2.0, I think is the best way to frame it. I have not played Snowdonia enough recently to be able to give specifics, but that I feel pretty comfortable in saying. And we have talked about doing like a Tony Boydell week, like Snowdonia, Alubari, stuff like that, all in the same week. So we might do that sometime in 2020. Dan says, also, thanks for the On Mars playthrough. Used it to learn how to play the game. Excellent. And just because it's a good way, a good place to plug it, patrons at the $10 and up level have access to my teaching notes for On Mars as well. Not just the live stream, but the notes themselves I use that I created. So good. I'm glad to hear that they helped, Dan. Camille, hi from Morocco. Nice. All right. I've never played a modern board game, not available in my country, but I love watching you guys play heavy games. That's amazing to me right there. Like, seriously, right? I talked about this and I've told this story, and I won't bore you guys, because if you listen to my interview on the 5 Games for Doomsday podcast. Speaking of which, Tony, will you do me a favor? Will you link that in the chat somewhere? The link to the interview I sat with Ben. But I mentioned about the Uber driver when I was really worn down at the end of a year, a couple of years ago, how he put things in perspective for me. Like, I'm still amazed. So here Camille is, and this isn't a discount wherever you guys are around the world, don't get me wrong. But Camille, in Morocco, never played a modern board game, but loves watching us play the games. That's staggering to me, and that's why I do this stuff. Like, that is just awesome. Yeah, building a community of people that want to be involved in this, and even if it's just on a tangent, that's awesome, man. That's really cool. So, where in Morocco? I'm curious. Brian says, Edward, killer job on the 5 Games for Doomsday podcast, by the way. Thank you. I appreciate it, Brian. Harry, if there were enough cool people in the world, which heavy game would be the best fit for a long shot pro league? Which game has that much depth and longevity? He says Terra Mystica. Oof. I mean, Age of Steam? Have to vary with the maps and learn. Oh, I think Age of Steam would be awesome for that. Hi, Yoda. Happy holidays. I'm going to hit that. I better move it. I'm sorry. Holidays. Merry, Yoda. Hey, Luke. Australia in the house. I love that Dutch Yoda's avatar is Baby Yoda. Yes, yes. Oh, Secret Cabal podcast when I commute. Well, that's perfect for a commute. Probably like one episode will last you a week's commute. So there you go. That's awesome. It's a joke because they have really long podcasts. Kind of like somebody else I know. They seem to be getting longer. Well, I guess when you when you have Rado on your show or me and Martin Fowler get together, yeah. Hey, Chip. Merry Christmas, Edward. Happy holidays. Heard. Cannot stay. Driving to my in-laws. Will be there. Will there be an unboxing of the PTZ camera? No. Thanks again for the 5 Games for Doomsday podcast and all the content here. Well, happy holidays. Merry Christmas to you as well, Chip. I'm glad to hear that you enjoyed the podcast and the content. Thanks, man. Oh, so last seer is Martin. All right. Excellent. I was just sent a message that apparently Santa will be visiting HCHQ at some point. So there's that. All right. Looking in anticipation of PAX Transhumanity, Steve says. Me too. I can't wait to stream that one. Sorry it's been delayed a bit, but it's coming very, very soon. It will be in January. Take care, Tony. My best to Helen. I'm sure he left about an hour ago, but you get the idea. David says, normalize mental health every day. I agree with that. Last Seer says, my gaming group has 2 psych nurses. That'd be an interesting game group, especially with certain games. I bet would be really, really interesting for sure. All right. Hey, David. Yes, you will be getting an email tomorrow, David, or possibly a Facebook message, but we will chat tomorrow for sure. David Terzi, designer extraordinaire, soon to be world traveler, coming to HCHQ, I believe, in March. Said, Merry Christmas, Edward. Looking forward to hanging out with you next year. That's David's subtle way of saying, hey, psst, 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 ping me. I hear you, David. Luke says, you talked about the decision to see a therapist. Was there a time you didn't believe you needed help? Would you advise past Edward to talk to someone even if he didn't think he needed to? Was there a time you didn't believe you needed help or I needed help? No, I just never thought about it. Honestly, until... So, how do I'm being very careful in how I word this because there was a nugget that I dropped in the 5 Games for Doomsday that nobody has touched on so far in any of their communication with me that maybe it was too subtle, but it's something I needed to get off my chest. But let me word it this way. So I struggle with time period memory. What I mean by that is I don't remember if something happened 2 years or 3 years ago. Stuff like that. So that's one of the things that I really, really struggle with. Like putting things on a timeline, I struggle real bad with that. And there was a event that took place in my life that was highly, highly traumatic. So let me think. I'm trying to go backwards. Oh, good Lord. I cannot remember if it was 2 or 3 years ago, so give me a second. I suppose it doesn't really matter, but it's bothering me, so give me a moment. I have to literally write this down to work backwards. Mid-2016, there was a traumatic event that happened in my life that completely devastated me. And that's when I first realized, oh, maybe therapy will help. It was both self-therapy as well as couples therapy. And it was something that I demanded happen in one sense, but I digress. So I didn't ever not think I needed therapy. It just never occurred to me. So would I advise past Edward to talk to someone even if he didn't think I needed to? Yes. If I could go back to when I was just younger, I think that would have been better. Yeah, to deal with a lot of stuff from my childhood, because I think that would change the way I am now for the better. But that said, overall, I think I'm a pretty good dude. So I think, yeah, better late than never. That I will stress. Doesn't matter. Like, I think everybody needs therapy in some form or fashion, some more intensive than others, but yeah. I watched a thing about Craig Ferguson from last year. I think it popped up on regular Reddit, no subreddit or anything, just on the front page, about a monologue that he did last year, I believe, about when he talked about him being 15 years sober of being an alcoholic. I've never done drugs. I don't drink really a whole lot. But he talked about some things, and I think is really, really important, and I think was really good. And yeah, I having somebody to be able to talk to is immensely helpful, and having an outlet, a healthy outlet for things, is immensely helpful. So if you're considering it, do it. Can't stress that enough. Oh, okay. Matt says, apparently there are a couple other companies along with U-Gears that make wood models, but his Robotime, but it requires glue. I will say one nice thing about U-Gears, no glue. Merry Christmas, Douglas. See you next, see you in May, hopefully, okay? Take care, Justin. Oops. Daniel. Hello, Edward. Hello, Daniel. Will you be at Lyriacon in March? Yup. Rolf says, yes, Edward, we're having a good Christmas. My employer was not nice to me, so my lawyer made sure he paid me a lot. Awesome. I'm glad to hear that things worked out, dude. Awesome. Not good on, you know what I'm saying. Not good the situation, but it sounds like it was a good result, or in the end, a reasonable result. Says, between jobs, going to take my time to find a new job. Good, man. I'm happy to hear that. I'm shocked. Rolf says the version of Coffee Traders that he sent home with us that we are planning to stream next month as a prototype, he says is outdated. Dan and John are working hard on the illustrations. Rolf, you need to shoot me an email and we need to talk then very soon. Harry, top 6 for 2 players or 3 with an AI or dummy, maybe. I'll write it down. There we go. All right. Last year says, so I could watch Age of Steam playthroughs exclusively for hours. Would love to see more maps. Well, I said we're going to try and do a monthly Age of Steam stream. We're going to try and do a monthly Age of Steam stream. So, look for one next month. Apparently I did well teaching Irish Gauge. Glad to hear, David. Oh, hey. Cheers, Harry. ETS Harry, technically, but cheers. And thank you. Thank you very much for the support. ETS Harry says, Edward, first of all, I wish you the best 2020 ever. Well, there's only going to be one of them, but yes, let's make next year the best year ever. I agree with that. Yes, a very nice holiday. These days, we often have some spare time. What movie would you watch if you want to get a spiritual and touching experience? Whoa, wow. Okay. I don't know. I'll try and think about that, but let's see. Wow, that's tough. My most wanted to see movie, so I recently saw the Star Wars movie. Don't worry, no spoilers. I will say this. The storytelling was at best. It just... Really not. I haven't enjoyed the last few Star Wars movies. They've been real disappointments. So when I will say, I wasn't disappointed by this Star Wars. I had low expectations. And so there's that. Best movie I've seen in the last handful of years is Sicario. Most wanted to watch movie? Probably Sicario 2, even though I know it's not probably going to be great. I saw The Irishman on Netflix the other day. Yeah, that was kind of a bummer. It wasn't nearly as good as I hoped it would be. I'll just list some of my favorite movies. It's not what you asked, but I'm trying to think and it stalls and it fills time. In no particular order, and feel free to make fun of me all you want, but it's true. Color of Money, still my all-time favorite movie. Shawshank Redemption's up there. Rounders, just 'cause, right? Swingers has a special, special place in my heart. Notting Hill, 'cause I am a huge sap. Love Actually, 'cause I'm a huge sap. The Godfather, obviously. Spiritual and uplifting. I got nothing, man. Or touching, not uplifting. Spiritual and touching experience. I got nothing. I'm trying. I'll have to ask the Peanut Gallery for that one. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I'm bad at that, Harry, so sorry about that. Andre says, Merry Christmas, Edward. Going to watch later, but wanted to check in between two family gatherings, say hi. So hi, Andre. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Michael, heading out to play with the kiddos' Christmas toys. Are you playing with them or are they? Be honest. Be honest, Michael. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Y'all have a great day. Appreciate y'all make the heavy cardboard happen. So thank you. I appreciate you watching and listening. Hey, Adam. Merry Christmas, brother. Appreciate all the help and the support as well. Thank you, Adam. Maracaibo versus Cooper Island. Thoughts on either? Preference of one over the other. Haven't played Maracaibo yet. That's going to be coming soonish. I enjoyed Cooper Island. I enjoy the 3D aspect, and the taller your landscape is, the more resources it's worth. I think that is an excellent mechanism. The game was fine. It wasn't my favorite, but hopefully Maracaibo's good. We'll see. Hi, Kevin. Camille, he's from Casablanca. That's just exotic. Like, to somebody who's in Boston, lived in Denver, lived all over the U.S., like, Casablanca is exotic to me, Camille. That's cool. I would like to go and eat there at some point. That would be cool. If I ever make the trip to Morocco, I will touch base with you ahead of time. All right, Camille? Ryan, Merry Christmas, everyone. Edward, what drives you to make such hard to develop content? What would you be doing if us patrons weren't here? What drives you to make such hard to develop content? What do you mean by that? I'm not 100% sure what you mean by that. So ask that, and I'll get to it in about an hour when I get to the bottom of chat. Okay. What would I be doing if us patrons weren't here? I hope to God I would not still be in aviation, but avionics is what I was trained to do, and it's what I could do for a living that would pay the bills the most, that makes me the most money, right? So I would hope that it wouldn't be that. Maybe playing poker for a living, probably not though, because that was the hardest job I've probably ever had, harder than this. No, this is harder. That was more stressful. I think that's a good way to put it. But this is still awfully stressful. There's no bigger asshole of a boss than my boss. Contrary to what some former patrons think, these are not my bosses. This is my boss. But these folks do have an impact on things, as do the rest of y'all that watch. But yeah, but playing poker for a living, whoo, that can be rough, especially like last night's session. I went on Christmas Eve. You would think that the casino would be dead on Christmas and Christmas Eve. No, I went and played poker, and it was packed. There were like 25 tables going. Late. I left about midnight or so. I watch a bunch of poker vloggers, and one of the guys is local, one of the young kids, Ethan. He runs Rampage Poker. And he and I, he asked me, hey, why don't you come play over here? And he and I aren't trying to play in pots against one another, whatever. He saw me get it in good for a $1,600 pot, got it in good, and a guy rivered a flush on me, which was really unfortunate and frustrating. But it happens. But that's a good example of why playing poker for a living can be stressful. Make the right decision, get it in good, and still lose. Sometimes that happens. So what would I be doing if the patrons didn't allow for me to be able to play poker for a living? Do heavy cardboard for a living. Whew, I'm in poker mode, apparently. I don't know. I've always been of the mind to want to do something for myself as far as entrepreneurial. Like, I had no idea. I still have no idea what I'm doing with this. I mean, you learn as you go, right? But I don't know. But I would hope that I'm not working aviation, because, my God, did I hate it. I was good at it, but I hated it. Just burnout. So I don't know. Take care, Brian. That's awesome. Last Year says, I worked a very slow day yesterday at work, and I think your raw video, which I linked to one of my coworkers, just hooked up probable new herd members. Awesome. Hey, the more people that play these games, the better off we all are. So that's awesome. Glad you shared that. That's honestly, that's the best thing that anybody can do to support the show. Yes, this is amazing. This helps. But spreading the word and sharing the content, that's the biggest thing, far and away. So thank you. Hey, Mohammed, welcome. Said, great interview on 5 Games for Doomsday. By the way, Edward, thank you. I appreciate it. And yes, Rainer, I will also be pinging you tomorrow as well. Not today, because it's Christmas, and I'm entitled to take Christmas off. So, yes, but I will. Well, I say I take it off, but here I am. But I'm here because I want to. I want to spend some time with you guys. So I appreciate you guys spending some of your Christmas with me. Although I know some of y'all are doing this just to get away from family because y'all are sick and tired of spending time with some members of your family. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Rainer and David. Yes. All right, fellas. You will hear from me tomorrow, I promise. Oh, hey, Jess. Thank you for linking that. I appreciate it. Jess, spending time with the family, good. And thanks for stopping in. I appreciate that. That means a lot. Mike, you will hear from me tomorrow as well, apparently. Hey, James. James is our resident, well, he's a good friend of mine, first and foremost. A very integral part of the Heavy Cardboard family, and one of the volunteers. He does all the graphics. He uploads the podcast. He helps run the website. He does all of this. I've offered to try and pay him. He has said no. So James, thank you very, very much. You know what? Hold on. Yes, James, thank you very much for all the support and all your help. And I'm looking forward to 2020 and doing a better job on my end to help you, help me, and help everybody else a little bit better and easier this year. But I want to give a shout out to all the folks that help out behind the scenes. So before I get into what James was saying, so in no particular order, so obviously Jess for helping out with stuff behind the scenes and for the better part of the last 18 months or so, and especially ever since I moved to Boston, for being on the streams and occasionally being on the podcast. Thank you, Jess, for all of that. Jess is taking a break. She may or may not be back on the streams. And I've mentioned why. I don't want to speak for her, but one of the things that she has told me is, and this is true, that being a woman especially, and being on the streams and putting yourself out there for critics to critique her play, she feels like if she makes mistakes on stream, she gets singled out more so than the rest of us. And while highly unfortunate, it is very much true and really unfortunate. And it makes her very self-conscious and very uncomfortable. Through no fault of the majority of you guys. It's just, it's the occasional few screwing it up for the many. That's a good way to put it. So, Jess, you always have a place here if you want to. A big, big thank you to her. Then to James, who does everything that I just mentioned. To Tony, Adam, Vince, Franny, who help moderate, but also are friends of mine and have been a place I can safely vent. A big thank you to them as well. Moderate and small council type stuff behind the scenes. So thank you to all of them. Adam and Chris for the timestamps and for helping upload everything to BGG and handling some of the video stuff. To Liam, who is going to be taking all of the playthroughs and breaking them up into 4 videos. One is a full video that you're used to. One is a teach only, one is a playthrough only, and one is a roundtable where applicable only video. So a big thank you to Liam as well. And to everyone else that just volunteers their own time. Oh, to Joel also, who is the podcast editor, who takes the time and to edit the podcast and make it sound good, because I tried and that was taking me excessively long, and ungodly amounts of time. So thank you to Joel for doing that, and to everybody else that volunteers, and to all of you who watch the show, listen to the show, who participate in the live streams, and to everybody in our game group who, without them, I can't do this, because I can't live stream 4-player games with one person. So a big thank you to all of them. This is a community show. It is not just me. Yes, I run it. Yes, I am in charge of it, yada, yada, yada. But to all the patrons and to everybody that supports the show in their own way, by watching, by telling their friends about it, by telling their game group about it, by talking about it online, various places, a big, big, big thank you to all of you. All right? All right. Thank you. James says, events and our reaction to them, good and bad, shape who we become. I've had a tough go, but I realize that all things, even the most horrifying, have shaped who I am. I like me. Thus, no regrets. I have very, very few regrets in my life. So I hear you, brother. I hear a lot of that. I have a number of tattoos that you guys may or may not have seen on streams and other places, whatever. Some are visible, some are not. All of them mark important parts or points in my life. I never regret a tattoo because they all were important to me things at some point in my life. So why would I ever regret that? Right? They shape who you've become. And if you're good with who you've become, shouldn't have any regrets. So I hear you, James. Cheers, brother. And I will have the podcast to you as soon as this is over so you can upload that, all right, if you get a chance today. Thank you. Harry says, I know you like tacos. Aside from tacos, though, and not just tacos, Mexican food in general. I like a lot of food, but I digress. How about ramen or Chinese or Indian food? Absolutely yes to all of those. From those three, in order, which do you pick? Ramen, Chinese, or Indian? Man. Depends on the mood. Man, that's tough. Probably Indian, I think. Although, you ask me later today, it might change tomorrow. I like Italian, I like Mexican, I like everything. I like Vietnamese, I like Thai, I like Chinese. Yeah, I love good food. I love barbecue, right? Good food, the end. Life's too short to eat bad food. So, yes, tacos have a special place in my heart. And Mexican, if you put a gun to my head, is probably my favorite cuisine. Outside of that, though, I love quality food. Douglas says, you mentioned the color of puff money. He means the color of money. Have you seen The Hustler? Of course. Fast Eddie Felson. Come on. Of course I have. It's a depressing movie, but yeah. And big fan of it. Jess says, spiritual and uplifting movie. Life is beautiful. I might have to watch that. Thanks, Jess. Camille says, sounds good. Would love to welcome you. All right, it's on, Camille. I now have a new place to visit. David, do you keep in touch with your Colorado crew that used to be on the stream? Banker Dave, Sweater Mike, etc. Sweater Mike wants nothing to do with me. I don't know why. I don't talk to most of them. A lot of them want nothing to do with me. However, there are a number of folks who I do stay in contact with, specifically Kleiker, Michael, Banker Dave, and he's on some of the streams in the Peanut Gallery. Banker Dave is. Let's see. Brian O. I'm still in contact with. Paul Chad actually sent me a Christmas message yesterday that I responded to. That was a very pleasant and welcome surprise. Outside of that, it seems nobody else wants anything to do with me. I've tried to reach out to a number of the folks, and it's fallen on deaf ears. So ever since the split with Amanda and with the falling out with everything that went on, and again, I briefly mentioned that in the 5 Games for Doomsday podcast, ever since then, gone our separate ways, which is a bummer. No, not our separate ways. They have distanced themselves from me, and I'm not exactly sure why. And I would love to talk to them. I would love to, but I've tried, and it seems they don't want to, so I'm not going to press the matter. I would love to, though. That'd be great. That's still something that bugs me to this day, but can't force people to do things. So there you go, David. Hopefully that answers your question. Oh, last year says he used to write test software for IFF systems on AWACS and stuff. Oh, interesting. Mode 4, stuff like that. That's really, really interesting, man. Oh, Life is Beautiful. I was just notified we have watched it. I have. Yeah, that's right. It's uplifting in some ways, but it's a heavy movie as well. So keep that in mind. Okay. Yes. Thank you for the reminder, Jess. Hey, Evan. Hope all is well with you. Having a good holiday. Stenobro says, do you listen to Jocko Willenick's podcast? I got turned on to him by a couple of former friends, I guess you could call them. His little snippet called Good. If you Google Jocko and Good, the word good, that's helped at times, for sure, when things go sideways. So I don't listen to his podcast. I probably should. I might start doing that, adding that into the rotation. Hi, Simon. He says, super stoked that you ended up bringing Paco Sacco back from Spiel. Looking forward to the upcoming live stream of it. Yes, Simon was very adamant about me checking out Paco Sacco, so thank you for the recommendation, Simon. And on that note, Simon, cheers. Thanks for the bump in support. Just got the email notification, so thank you for that. Unachimba, do you have any prediction or hopes for you, the show, board games, and the world in 2020? Hopes. Okay. How about we go really wide and we narrow it down? We'll go that direction with it. So let's see. Hopes. I hope the world becomes a little bit more patient and people give each other a little bit more grace in the coming year. Meaning, and I mentioned this in the latest podcast. You don't know what somebody's going through, so why not give them the benefit of the doubt until they give you reason to know that, nope, they're just an asshole. So give people the benefit of the doubt. Give grace whenever possible. I don't always do that. God knows I'm guilty of this as much as the next person. But I do try. So I hope the world just becomes a little bit more kind to one another and a little bit more understanding of differences and everything else. Two things I do not talk about: politics or religion. I'm pretty agnostic, and I am a moderate independent for those that care about such things. I just hope that the office of president becomes a office that we can be proud of and gives and earns respect in the future. I'll leave it at that. So that's big picture. Narrow it down from that. Board games. I think 2019 was pretty awesome for heavy board gamers. A lot of the games were released earlier than at Spiel, but there were some good ones at Spiel, as well as a lot of games that we haven't gotten to that we have hopes for. So I hope that 2020 is as good, if not better, than 2019. As far as hopes for heavy cardboard, consistent content and to continue to improve the quality of the content and continue to grow the herd. And I don't just mean this number. Would it be awesome to get that up to 1,000 this year? Yes. But I just want the community as a whole to continue to grow. The heavy cardboard community. The end. There you go. How's that? Onward, upward in terms of consistency, of quality, and of reach and community. I think that works. There you go. Evan asks, Edward, it seems like you've gone away from remote guest hosts on the podcast, sticking with locals like Greg and Martin. For good reason, content and audio quality. Is that the case? Not intentionally. I've reached out to folks, and I will reach out again, probably in the coming week and weeks, to see if there are people that would like to be on the show. I will be... there's a microphone that I plan on sending out for those that need it, that don't have one, a decent quality one. That'll be a traveling mic. So it's not intentional. It's just the way things have worked out. So no, not an intentional thing. I think the content has been pretty exceptional, though. I think it's been pretty great. I'm not pretty. I'm completely happy with it. And so if there are people remote from Boston that would like to guest host and think they would do a good job, then I would love to hear from them. Hey, York. Merry Christmas to you as well. Hi, Andrew. Thank you, Andrew, for the thoughtful Christmas gift. So I shouldn't say Santa didn't give me anything. So thank you, Andrew. By the way, I hope you take this the right way, but I couldn't figure out who that was from. Couldn't read the name. So thank you. I put 2 and 2 together a couple days ago about who it was. So thank you, Andrew. That was very kind and very thoughtful of you. I appreciate that. Thanks for the 5 games for Doomsday podcast and talk about the mental health and stigma only gets lifted through acts like that. Thanks, Andrew. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you, Rolf. MBO, hi. Happy holidays. Says, I'm super excited for the new Rococo. Apparently I am too. Didn't know about it. Last year says, screw the critics. Jess doesn't owe anything to anyone, but it's great for my wife to see women on the broadcast. So whatever shade is coming her way, there's a lot of goodwill too. I get that. And I hear you. And the overwhelming majority of people are supportive and welcoming of whether it's me, whether it's Martin, whether it's Jet, doesn't matter. However, and this is something that all of us, I'm willing to bet that people like Rado, Efka, especially Elaine, the folks from Semi-Co-op, anybody that produces content, John, Paul, anybody, it doesn't matter. Even you know, the big ones, Shut Up and Sit Down, Dice Tower, all that. I read, and I don't want to speak for everybody, but I have a feeling that this is more prevalent than is not. I see and I read all the positive things, whether it's on stuff like this or comments or emails or Patron messages or whatever. I read and I absorb all of the positive stuff. And corrective criticism, I think really, really well. I think it's actually really helpful and it helps keep you improving. That's a good thing. But when they're personal attacks, that it's hard to sometimes move past those and not have that one nasty thing that somebody says personally about you or about, it's just a attack without substance behind it. It's not a corrective criticism. It's just somebody being a douche canoe. It's hard to not have that drown out every single positive thing that people have said to you. And I know I'm not the only one that suffers from that. It definitely becomes, it is a skill that I'm still in the process of learning. And honestly, having somebody like Martin Fowler as a sounding board for this, because he has a level of celebrity that way surpasses anything that I would have with my niche of a niche of a niche here. And he does a very good job of handling stuff like that. And I'm still in the process of learning that. And I would argue that Jess is also in the process still of learning how to not have that one nasty comment drown out everything else. And it's hard. It's really, really hard. So hearing that last year certainly will help, whether it's me or Jess or anyone else. It certainly will help. But man, people suck sometimes. And it's not all people. It's a very, very small amount. A very vocal, very minor minority that just suck, man. And it's hard. It really is hard sometimes. So I hear you, but David says we miss Jess's contagious laugh on the streams. I hear you. And this isn't to guilt her into it by any stretch. She may or may not still be watching, but yeah, she's missed. But I think hearing this from folks, that'll help. Even if she doesn't come back, even if it's just to help her in the mental health side of things. That's awesome to hear, man. Thank you guys for that. That's awesome. Hi, Wicked Loki says, I only have a few minutes, but wanted to wish you a Merry Christmas. Thank you for all you do. Looking forward to New Year and the PTZ camera. Me too, Loki. Me too. Joe says, hope to see Jess back soon. She's an incredible player. Yeah, well, Martin is probably... I'm joking. Let me preface. I was going to say he's probably been the biggest, he's won more games since Jess hasn't been here. We all have won more games since Jess hasn't been here, but she's missed far more than winning game. I couldn't give two. I don't care who wins. I don't think anybody in our game group cares who wins. Jess is just a very strong player. Which is awesome. That's fantastic. So yes, she is very much missed. I agree. Merry Christmas, Rainer. I hope you and the family are doing well. Having a great holiday. I will talk to you tomorrow. No, Dragon. No. You did not insult Martin at all or anyone else. Nobody. You're fine. You're totally fine. Don't worry about it. Simon says, that's very unfortunate about Jess and live streams. That loud, negative, and toxic minority make me want to pull my hair out. Jess, we love you both on and off the stream. Hope you're well. There you go. I agree. There are days it just makes you want to cry and throw your hands up, yell at clouds, question life choices on what you want to do. And there are other days it just rolls off. Good and bad mental health days, right? So that's the struggle. How about some tasty pepper candies? You can keep all those Swedish candies to yourself, Rainer. Jess did show me a comic, though, about them. Yep, Banker Dave. His YouTube name is Hardcore. It is, yes. When you see him in chat, that is Banker Dave. Yeah, well, there you go. Martin chimed in. Hi, Martin. Merry Christmas. I don't remember anything that I could imagine being an insult, so no worries. See, I told you. Nothing to worry about, Dragon. Thank you, Simon. Says, also, just got more steady income. Congratulations, man. I'm happy to hear that. That's a positive thing. I'm very, very glad to hear that. So I was able to up my pledge back up. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. David says, Boston crew is great too. I agree. I miss some of the folks that haven't been around. It's just a scheduling issue with all of them. I don't think anyone has just gone away. So, yeah, I think these people are awesome as well. They're really kind, really nice, friendly, helpful, and they're good gamers, and they're pleasant to be around. Wicked Loki, I would love to see a stream of Banker Dave and Martin. Well, if Banker Dave ever comes out to Boston, we probably can hook that up. Any movies you want to watch in 2020? Have you watched Peaky Blinders? I started to watch the series. I'm not far into it, but that's one I would like to continue. Top 5 gangster mafia movies, top of my head. Goodfellas, Godfather, Godfather 2. The Departed, maybe. I enjoyed Heat. Gangster-ish, kind of. Not really mafia, but that's more bank robber type, right? The Town I recently watched again, which takes place here in Boston, and it looks a lot more familiar to me now. So there's that. Movie I want to watch. I mentioned Sicario 2, which I don't have high expectations of, but looking forward to that. I don't know any real big movies that are coming out, but I saw The Joker, which was fine. It was solid. It was a kind of what I expected, so that's okay. I saw the new Star Wars. I wasn't disappointed because I had no expectations of that anyway. There's probably a bunch of movies that I would like to watch that I haven't gotten around to, just from the last few years. But off the top of my head, Eugene, not Stenebro. Okay, Merry Christmas, Edward. Thank you. Serious about Sweater Mike and others? Yeah, I don't lie to y'all. I don't BS y'all. I'm not saying that anybody else that runs a show does, not intimating that. Just, I am as honest as, no, I'm honest, the end. It's just whether or not I choose to share some things with you guys. From last year, I learned some lessons, so I don't share as much, but yeah. Do I prefer burritos, wet or dry, with or without mole? Probably dry, I think, but enchiladas with some mole. There's only one decent Mexican joint that I have found so far since moving to the area called Mexico Lindo, and they have a enchilada dish with 3 different sauces that is phenomenal, and a really acidic coleslaw that they serve with it that cuts the richness of the sauces, and one of which is a mole. Oh, it's wonderful. Best thing I make, though, although I will say the last set of refried beans that I made for myself is the best refried beans I've ever made, which finally have made a decent batch of refried beans. That was really nice. But the best dish that I make is Pollo Ciudad, city chicken. It's a homemade Mexican rice, and then a boneless but skin-on pan-fried chicken thigh on top of that, with some sauteed chilies and onions on top of that, with a mushroom cilantro cream sauce thickened with egg yolk over the top of that. And the most important part of this, other than the crispy chicken skin, is a pickled serrano and tomato relish that is super, it's a little bit sweet, it's very spicy, and it just cuts the richness of everything. It is so good, and I want to make it so much. I might make that for New Year's. I might do that. Now I'm hungry. All right. Harry says, if you have a game that then gets deluxeified, would you buy the deluxe version and sell your non-deluxe version that you already own, i.e. Castles of Burgundy or Suburbia that just got deluxeified? As I said, I do not lie to you guys. And I'm conscious of the verbiage that I use, because I know that people put a lot of weight in the words that I say, so I feel like I have a responsibility to be very specific with my language. But I was highly disappointed with the new version of Castles of Burgundy. I don't know that it was deluxeified in the way that I would have wanted. I would have liked to have seen something along the lines of what Eagle Griffin does with theirs. So no, in that case. But here's a good example. Take Vinos, just as an example. So the original Vinos edition or the deluxe new version of Vinos that has the original rules and the 2016 rules. Would I upgrade it? Yes, because I think I really like the look of it. I thought it was great, plus the new components and the whole 9 yards. So would I? It depends on the game. If I really, really enjoy the game, then yeah, maybe. But do I feel it's necessary? No. Definitely don't feel obligated to. So that's my opinion on that. Take care, Douglas. See you next May. Ramon says, fantastic podcast, the 5 games for Doomsday with Ben. Thank you, Ramon. I appreciate that. Joe says, time to go cook Christmas dinner. I'll see you guys later. I assume you've already left, Joe, so you can't answer, but I'm curious what you're making for Christmas dinner. Have a great dinner. Luke says, I've read it takes 5 positive things to counter 1 nasty thing in a person's mind. I would argue the ratio is far, far higher than that. Far higher. It is in my case. But I think that's more about me than it is about the comments themselves. And that's something I'm working on, right? Last year, my son wants to play Roll for the Galaxy. Good night. All right, have fun. Go play games. I just call those negative people Richard Cranium. That's funny. Well played, Joe. Tim says, keep on healing. It will be a forever process. The cup, as they say, will never be empty, but I just want to it emptier. So thank you. I appreciate that, Tim. Merry Christmas, all. Be well, be safe, and have fun. I hear you, Joe. Eugene says, Ed, it's Edward, please. But, Edward, I enjoyed my first play of Food Chain Magnate. I would like to try other splatters and was wondering if you could quickly summarize what kinds of games Indonesia and Great Zimbabwe are. Great Zimbabwe is a route building game, and Indonesia is a sort of a route building game, but it's more about merging companies. And the merger mechanism in that game is truly unique and special. So heavy economic would be Indonesia, and a excellent route building with a whole lot more to it is Great Zimbabwe. I love the fact that in Great Zimbabwe, depending on what special abilities that you select, changes the amount of victory points that you need to score to be able to trigger the end of the game to win the game. I think that is awesome. That's fantastic. And for what it's worth, Eugene, you can go back. Somebody had asked earlier, my first splatter game, depending on player count. I actually covered the player counts on the main splatter games as well. So I would recommend going back and listening to that. Luke says, I've been following Jess a lot on Twitter. Her Twitter is @boardgame_girl1 for those interested. She puts out interesting stuff and highlights a lot of games I'd not seen. Hashtag JRX crew. There you go. Good. Rolf says, Edward, Schweinsachse. Yes, I didn't have it last year when I went to Essen. That will not happen again next year. I will have some. Luke says, The Town freaking rules. I love that movie. Yes. Martin says, a favorite gangster movie of mine in addition to your list, Once Upon a Time in America. I don't think I've seen it. I think I'm familiar with it, but I don't think I've seen that, Martin. All right. Rainer says, yeah, the new Castles of Burgundy. Not great. I mean, at least the tiles are of equal thickness now. That's damning with faint praise, ain't it? Oof. Who looked at that and said, yeah, this makes it look better? And as they say, if you have nothing nice to say, maybe it's better to leave it unsaid. So as Rainer said, hey, at least the tiles are of equal thickness. Deluxe of the upcoming Kanban. I'm looking forward to that. Eagle's doing that, right? I think they are, right? So looking forward to that. You know they'll do that, right? It's VTOL, so I assume it's Eagle. Although I guess it could be GeoChicks, but probably Eagle. Nice, Dragon. Game of La Granja and Vinos ahead of you today. Excellent. Enjoy, man. My favorite real-time game. Time's up. Here's one you didn't probably expect me to say. Beethoven, I think. Beethoven? Beethoven. I'm going with Beethoven. You let me know if that's right. Says, hi, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays from Indonesia. See what I mean? This is amazing. Country, not the board game. That'd be funny. Now I'm like getting a whole Jumanji picture in my head. Been a silent viewer, watcher for some time, since it's quite hard to catch you live due to the time difference. We try and move them around. I do try. Really enjoy your great content. Been in the hobby a couple years, early 2000s, and stopped. Can't remember why. Somehow got back to it, into it about a year or so ago. Looking forward to 2020. So cheers. Where in Indonesia, I wonder? Yeah, where specifically? That's amazing to me. That's awesome, and thank you. I'm glad you chimed in. If you ever watch live, chime in. Well, obviously now, I get that. But Luke says, gotta run. Thanks for the chat. Happy whatever you're celebrating. Right? Seriously. You got fans in MFing Australia, y'all. Take care, Luke, all right? Be well. Merry Christmas, man. Simer. Thought you'd go with Millennium Blades for real time. All right. Millennium Blades, I forget. See, I'm bad off the top of my head. Oh, Jess, Lovelace, and Babbage. I feel like you're biased. See, I can't think of these things. Those would probably be my top 3. There you go. There you go. Millennium Blades, Lovelace, and Babbage, and Time's Up. Yes, to all of those. All right. John Flea says, Happy Holidays from the Heavy Board Game crew from Croatia. Like, this never gets old, man. I'm just a dude with a mic and some cameras hanging out with y'all on Christmas around the world. This is amazing, isn't it? This really is really, really cool. Thanks for making my Christmas a little bit better. A lot better, actually. Thank you. Hope to be able to catch more things live in the near future. That'd be good, Rainer. Cool. That'd be good. All right. Wow. Hey, look at that. I've caught up. Awesome. We miss you catching them live, Rainer. But hey, life happens, dude. Whether it's work or personal, life happens. So I get that. So what are you guys looking forward to, heavy cardboard wise, in 2020? What are you looking forward to, or what do you want out of or from me and heavy cardboard in 2020? I'm curious. Unachimba asks, I've really enjoyed the live streams of war games like Maria, Churchill, and so on. Do you have any more streams of 3+ player war game other than World and Flames planned? I mean, we're going to do a coin at some point in 2020, especially now that we're going to have the PTZ camera. I'm trying to think. I would like to be able to do Triumph and Tragedy. We did Cataclysm. Although Triumph and Tragedy might be a bit of a weird one because it's a block war game, plus it has a big footprint. So I'm not sure where I'm going to mount it for that. But yeah, so thinking about Triumph and Tragedy. There's going to be more GMT stuff, maybe some stuff from Compass Games as well. I understand some people don't consider that it a war game, but something like a Twilight Struggle, 1989. Maybe something like, you said 3+ players, but like an Unhappy King Charles. Fields of Despair. stuff like that I would like to definitely get streamed. Yes, I know people are going to bring up like Virgin Queen and stuff like that, maybe, but I'm not going to commit to that anytime soon. Beethoven would be good. Okay, got it. Or Ovan for short. Okay, and he's in Jakarta. All right, awesome, in the capital. Nice. Rainer says it's been a combination of both work and personal. All right, so hopefully things slow down a little bit for you, Rainer, in a good way. And Jan says Merry Christmas from France, so hello. Merry Christmas. More Age of Steam maps. By the way, I don't know that I can make it public, but we got some very, very, very exciting news about upcoming Age of Steam maps. I'll leave it at that. Jess says more 18XX. And the Unpub days are an awesome idea. Well, hey, we should get you on a 18XX stream, Jess. You asked. I'm going to throw it out there. Rainer says, looking forward to your treatment of both our games as well as those of other publishers. For those that don't know, Rainer works and is a part of Board and Dice. So there's that. Yes, I am looking forward to all of that as well. More Age of Steam, more 18XX. Unachimba says he would like 18XX every 18th of the month. It's good to want things in life, but I can guarantee that will not happen, but good to know. I did ask, so thank you. Fly Tony Boydell out for attention all shipping or Polygonia. I don't know how much you think I make, Eric, but if Tony comes out for HeavyCon, we could maybe do something like that. That'd be cool. Mage Knight, Cosmic Encounter, Alchemist, Space Alert, and Ponzi Scheme. So let's see. Ponzi Scheme, Mage Knight, I like. Those could happen. The others, we'll see. No worries, Eugene. No worries. So there you go. All right. That's all I got. Anything else on y'all's end? I'll give you guys a few seconds. Otherwise, I think I'm going to call it a day. I'm going to go downstairs. So let's see. What am I going to do as soon as this is over? Put the show to bed for the year. And like I said, probably given the shipping notice that I just got for the camera, unfortunately, like I said, it's going to be a week later. It's supposed to arrive anywhere between Tuesday, the 31st, to Monday, the 6th. So that's going to dictate when the show comes back. The tentative plan is to do the weekly look ahead on, in fact, I will say the weekly look ahead will be January 6th at noon. Okay, so that I will commit to. Past that, we'll see when everything else is going to be. When I say the show is being put to bed, I am, and with James's help, will be releasing the podcast tonight, hopefully tonight, so you guys will have it. Then there is going to be nothing until I come back live on the 6th. I may be active on Twitter, I may not, and in the Slack channel, and that's that. Other than that, it's all going to be behind the scenes stuff and probably a day or two off as well. But other than that, it's shipping out all of the orders that I have stuff for, refunding for those that I don't, and then shipping out stuff to them just because it feels like the right thing to do. Shipping out HeavyCon stuff, sending out HeavyCon invites, catching up on all of the Patron stuff on the website, getting a couple of the teaching notes out to folks to edit them. Let's see what else. Catching up on emails as well as other content or contact that I have fallen horribly behind on. My goal is to do some on the 26th and every day until it's caught up. And when the camera shows up, learning and installing the new camera, and hopefully everything that I've planned for the layout of everything works really well, I hope. So there you go. Hey, Scott. Gaming with Garavaglia. Happy holidays. Love the channel. Thank you, GWG. I appreciate it. No, the PTZ camera is just going to augment. It's going to be a 5th camera. It's not going to be in replace of anything. So it's just more. Ah, okay. Christmas is on the 24th in Denmark, Simon says. Okay, good to know. Enjoy the chill day then. Hey, Matt, just in time for me to call it a day. So when I'm done here, I am going to go downstairs and make some tortillas after I put everything in here to bed, and then have some tacos al pastor, that homemade leftovers, but with fresh warm tortillas. And then I'm gonna probably head to Encore and play some cards and get a hotel room and soak in a bath. I think that's the plan. I think that's it. Yeah, that works. So, you guys have a wonderful rest of your Christmas, the rest of the holiday season. Because whether you celebrate it or not, I imagine it's time off, and it's probably a low time of year for whatever it is that you guys do for a living, more often than not. So hopefully you guys are able to spend time with friends and family and people you care about. And I will catch you guys in a couple of weeks with the show coming back, ready to find serenity and a lot of killer content in 2020. All right? And Riblets says, my husband and I are new to your channel, but we're loving it. Awesome. Welcome. And here's to some more great content next year, Riblets. All right? No, I'm not going to do a heavy cardboard game library stream when I get the chance. It's a disaster. And I don't have the space that I did when I lived in my house. So no, that's not going to happen. Sorry. So yeah, have a great rest of the holiday season. Have a great new year. Be safe. Be kind to one another. Give people grace. Give them the benefit of the doubt. And play some good games. And eat some damn good food. Life's too short to not eat good food. All right? And I will catch you guys on the 6th. And past that, we will see once the camera gets installed in the whole 9 yards. All right? Thank you, everybody, for helping make Heavy Cardboard what it is this year and years past. And here's to a better 2020 for me, for you, and for everybody out there. All right? Regardless of friend or foe alike, here's to a better 2020 for all of us. All right? So be well. Have a great rest of your year. Be kind to one another. Happy gaming. And I'll see you guys next year. Take care, everybody.